They say money doesn't buy happiness, but the lack of it has destroyed marriages, caused anxiety, plunged people into despair, and closed doors that should never have been closed. And here's the most impactful part. The Bible has a powerful verse that reveals a truth about money that 99% of people ignore, and it can change your financial life forever. This verse is so direct that many Christians have avoided it because it clashes with what we were taught about wealth. However, if you truly understand it, you can unlock biblical principles that will allow you to achieve financial prosperity without losing your peace or purpose. God and money are not opposites, but there's a key that separates those who live in abundance from those who are always in crisis. In this video, I will not only reveal this verse, but also show you how to apply it in your life so you can experience economic freedom without falling into financial traps or losing your connection with God. So if you want to discover what the Bible really says about wealth and how this verse can transform your mindset about money, subscribe now and activate notifications so you don't miss any content. And stay until the end because what you'll see today could be the difference between a life of scarcity and a life of abundance. Hashtag, can the Bible really say money solves everything? Can the Bible truly say that money solves everything? It seemed a strange, even contradictory thought, but there it is, clear as day, in Ecclesiastes 10 verse 19. A feast is made for laughter. Wine makes life merry, and money is the answer for everything. This phrase puzzles many. Some think it contradicts Christian teaching about humility and dependence on God. But is it possible that we have misinterpreted its true meaning? Biblical wisdom has never been simple, and this is one of those verses that many prefer to ignore because it confronts ingrained ideas about spiritual and material wealth. If we stop to analyze, we'll see that this verse doesn't say that money is the supreme purpose of life, but that in practice, it impacts almost every aspect of our existence. The lack of money can mean not having access to good health, not being able to offer education to children, or living in a constant state of stress. It affects marriages, opportunities, and even our ability to help others. It's not that money buys happiness, but anyone who has experienced financial difficulties knows that poverty doesn't guarantee it either. God and money are not enemies. What really matters is how we manage it and what role it plays in our lives. It's no coincidence that many of society's biggest problems are related to a lack of resources. Financial stress is behind many illnesses. Economic despair has led people to make impulsive decisions, fall into debt traps, and even compromise their integrity. The corruption we see at so many levels of society often has roots in greed and poor resource management. The Bible doesn't ignore this reality. On the contrary, it gives us tools to confront it. But why then do so many Christians struggle with money without knowing how to manage it correctly? This is where the central problem comes in. Many don't apply the principles the Bible teaches about personal finance. There's a clear path to financial prosperity, but it requires knowledge, discipline, and above all, a mindset aligned with God's principles. True rich thinking isn't simply accumulating wealth, but understanding how money can be a powerful tool in the hands of someone with purpose. And the most surprising thing is that the Bible has much more to say about it than most people believe. If this has been eye-opening so far, then you need to know about the playlist Biblical Secret to Wealth: How to Make Money with God's Principles, where you'll discover even deeper teachings that can completely transform your way of seeing financial prosperity. You'll find the link at the end of this video, so stay until the end. Hashtag money, love, and purpose, the core biblical truth. If money is so powerful and is in every aspect of our lives, why does the Bible warn us about it? This is where many get confused. It's not money itself that the Bible condemns, but the unrestrained love for it. In 1 Timothy 6 verse 10, we find one of the most well-known warnings, "For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil." It doesn't say that money is evil, but that the problem arises when it becomes the center of a person's life, when the desire for wealth surpasses the pursuit of biblical wisdom, everything crumbles. There are those who see money as an end in itself and become its slaves. These are people who work tirelessly, sacrificing their health, family, and inner peace in search of more and more. But what's the point of having a bulging bank account if your soul is empty? There are millionaires who have everything in material terms but can't sleep without pills, live in anguish, and feel that it's never enough. On the other hand, there are those who have learned to see financial prosperity as a blessing that, when managed with an abundance mindset, transforms into a channel of blessing for others. Examples of people who achieved financial success but were spiritually lost abound. We see it in celebrities who reached the top and then fell into addictions, depressions, or painful scandals. They had fame, power, and riches, but at what cost? However, there are others who understood that spiritual wealth must be above material wealth. Keanu Reeves, for example, is known not only for his Hollywood success but for his generosity and humble attitude towards money. Jim Carrey, before he was famous, wrote himself a $10 million check as an act of faith and visualization, and years later he was able to cash it. But in his own words, he discovered that money wasn't the answer to all his problems. The real problem isn't having money, but when it takes God's place in a person's life. When money becomes the center of everything, people become capable of doing anything for it, lying, stealing, betraying. They justify themselves by saying it's out of necessity or for a better future, but the truth is they have fallen into the enemy's trap. The Bible warns us about this again and again, but many prefer to ignore it until it's too late. So how do you avoid falling into this trap? The answer is simple: consecrate your finances to God. This doesn't mean donating everything and living without planning. On the contrary, it means recognizing that all wealth comes from Him and that we are stewards of what He entrusts to us. It means putting Him first in our decisions, including how we earn, spend, and invest our money. True rich thinking isn't just about accumulating, but about knowing that financial prosperity is a tool for a greater purpose. Balance is key. God wants us to prosper, but with wisdom. He wants us to have economic freedom, but without falling into greed. He wants us to enjoy what He gives us, but without forgetting that everything on this earth is temporary. If we learn to see money as a means and not as an end, we will avoid the destruction that has reached so many people throughout history. And here comes a fundamental question. Are you controlling your money, or is it controlling you? Hashtag priorities and prosperity, seeking God first. If there's one principle that defines the difference between genuine financial prosperity and wealth that only brings emptiness, it's the one we find in Matthew 6 verse 33, "But seek first His kingdom and His righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well." This is a clear promise, but many have inverted the order. They seek money, security, comfort first, and then, if they have time left, they seek God. And that's where things start to fall apart. The Bible isn't against wealth, but it's clear about the order of priorities. When God is first, everything else falls into its proper place. It's not just about attending church or saying we believe in God. True prosperity begins in the mindset. A person who believes in God but lives with fear of the future, with anxiety about money, is not truly living in faith. If God is the owner of gold and silver, if He is the one who opens doors and provides opportunities, why do so many Christians live financially limited? In many cases, the answer is simple. They haven't learned to manage what they already have with biblical wisdom. They want to receive more but aren't prepared to handle it. Spiritual wealth and economic freedom walk together when we learn to manage our resources with the right values. This means avoiding unnecessary debts, being generous without being irresponsible, and understanding that every cent that passes through our hands is a seed we can plant for a better future. Some pray for financial miracles but continue to make bad economic decisions. It's not just about asking, but about acting with intelligence and purpose. A fundamental key is to pray and ask for financial wisdom before making important decisions. How many people have fallen into disastrous investments, businesses that seemed promising but left them in debt, or lifestyles they couldn't maintain? God doesn't just want us to prosper, but to do so with a rich mindset, without fear, without greed, without falling into traps. The Bible teaches us solid principles for managing money with strategy and long-term vision. When God is sought first, He opens doors that money can never open. He provides opportunities, connections, innovative ideas. True financial prosperity doesn't come from human effort alone, but from the combination of work, faith, and vision. It doesn't mean sitting and waiting for heaven to send us a check, but acting with the certainty that if we put God at the center, He will direct our steps towards true abundance. If this has resonated with you so far, then it's time to see how to apply this practically, because God doesn't just want you to believe in prosperity, but to know how to build it based on solid and eternal principles. #applied wisdom, building and multiplying wealth intelligently. When we talk about financial prosperity, many people believe it's about luck or being in the right place at the right time. But the Bible shows us something different. True wealth isn't about easy money, but about applied wisdom. A clear example is King Solomon. When God gave him the opportunity to ask for anything, he didn't ask for riches or power, but for wisdom, and because of that choice, he became the richest man of his time. This teaches us that prosperity doesn't begin with what we have in our hands, but with what we have in our minds and hearts. The Bible warns us that poorly managed riches disappear quickly, but whoever follows solid principles builds a lasting inheritance. In Proverbs 21 verse 5, we find a fundamental principle: the plans of the diligent lead to profit as surely as haste leads to poverty. Many seek immediate results. They want to get rich overnight without understanding that true financial prosperity is like a seed. It requires time, patience, and good habits to bear fruit. Investing wisely, managing strategically, and avoiding falling into the trap of impulsive decisions are key to long-term stability. One of the biggest differences between those who prosper and those who fail is the way they think about money. In the book Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker, the author explains that an abundance mindset is what separates the rich from the poor. While some see money as something bad or dangerous, others understand it as a tool to create opportunities. This is exactly what the Bible teaches us. When the mind aligns with God's principles, money stops being a problem and becomes a powerful tool. But if there's one thing that hinders financial prosperity, it's misguided decisions. Unnecessary debts, impulsive spending, and a lack of planning are obstacles that many people face without realizing it. God calls us to be good stewards. It's not just about how much we earn, but about how we manage what we already have. The key isn't how much money passes through your hands, but how much of it you know how to keep and grow. And this is where many fail. They receive but don't know how to multiply. Self-control and financial discipline are essential. Not everything we can buy is something we need. Not all that glitters is gold. In a world where consumerism has become a trap, learning to say no to certain expenses can make the difference between living in abundance or in constant scarcity. God doesn't call us to be slaves to money, but to manage it with intelligence and purpose. If we apply the right principles, we will avoid falling into the trap of losing everything. How many stories do we know of people who reached the financial top and lost everything in a matter of months due to bad decisions? It's not enough to achieve economic freedom. It's necessary to know how to preserve it. The Bible gives us the keys to stay firm on the right path and build a financial life that not only benefits us but also those around us. Prosperity isn't just a destination. It's a journey that requires wisdom, consistency, and long-term vision. If you've felt so far that your finances have been an obstacle instead of a blessing, this is the time to rethink your mindset and start applying the principles God has revealed in His Word. We have received many testimonies of people who have seen their lives transformed by applying these principles and trusting in God's intervention. If you are going through a financial crisis, if you feel you need direction, or if you simply want us to pray for your goals and projects, leave your request in the comments. We believe in a God who opens doors, provides opportunities, and gives wisdom to manage resources with purpose. We are here to accompany you in prayer. ### building and multiplying, from intelligence to impact. Now that we understand the importance of a rich mindset, the next step is to learn how to build and multiply money intelligently. Money isn't something that simply comes to those who desire it, but to those who are prepared to manage it. Some people earn large sums of money but lose everything in a matter of months. Others, with modest incomes, have managed to build financial empires because they applied solid principles. The Bible shows us that the secret isn't in how much you earn, but in how you manage what you already have. One of the most common mistakes is to think that the key to financial prosperity is simply to earn more. But if a person doesn't know how to manage their money well with a low salary, they won't know how to do it when their income increases either. The key is to develop discipline, learn to save money, avoid unnecessary expenses, and build a reserve that gives you stability. God calls us to be good stewards because the way we manage our finances reflects our level of biblical wisdom. Another fundamental principle is to invest wisely. Many people are afraid to invest because they associate investment with risk, but in reality, the greatest risk is doing nothing with your money. In Dave Ramsey's book, The Total Money Makeover, the author emphasizes that having a financial plan and avoiding unnecessary debts is essential for economic freedom. Building an emergency fund, learning about personal finance with biblical principles, and growing money with intelligent strategies is the difference between a life of scarcity and a life of stability. The concept of compound interest is one of the most powerful tools for growing your money over time. When you understand that well-managed money can work for you, you stop depending solely on your physical effort. The Bible teaches us that wealth must be multiplied, not simply accumulated. Jesus himself, in the parable of the talents, praised those who knew how to invest and grow what was entrusted to them. But this is where many fail. They want abundance, but without a plan. Prosperity doesn't happen by accident, but with vision and strategy. Having a financial mentor, seeking wisdom before making important decisions, and maintaining long-term discipline is what distinguishes those who truly achieve financial freedom from those who live in cycles of scarcity. God has given you the resources and intelligence to manage your financial life well, but the decision to apply these principles is in your hands. If this message has resonated with you and you wish to declare that you are ready to manage your money with wisdom and purpose, write in the comments. **** God gives me the intelligence to multiply my resources with wisdom. This is not just an affirmation, but an act of faith. When you declare with conviction, you activate what you believe in your life. We want to read your comment and pray with you for this area of your life. ### Wealth for purpose, beyond personal gain. When we talk about financial prosperity, many people see it only as a personal goal, paying debts, living comfortably, traveling, buying goods. But the Bible teaches us that wealth isn't just about what we can get, but about how we can impact others. God never blesses someone solely for their own benefit. The abundance that comes from Him always has a greater purpose, a mission that goes beyond personal comfort. A clear example is Joseph of Arimathea, a rich man of high standing in his time. But unlike many, he didn't use his money only for his own well-being. It was he who, in an act of generosity and faith, bought the tomb where Jesus was buried. Can you imagine the impact of this? His wealth was used at a crucial moment to fulfill an eternal purpose. This teaches us a clear lesson. God puts resources in our hands not only to improve our lives, but to contribute to His work. Throughout history, many have understood this principle and have used their money to change lives. Great Christian entrepreneurs have financed hospitals, schools, churches, and social projects that have transformed entire communities. While some accumulate wealth senselessly, others have used it to bring justice, relief, and hope. What differentiates one from the other? The correct mindset about prosperity. It's not about how much you have, but about what you do with what God puts in your hands. When someone prospers with a greater purpose, their vision changes. It's no longer just about how much you can earn, but about how many lives you can touch with what you've received. True spiritual wealth is manifested when we learn to be channels of blessing and not simple accumulators. A heart aligned with God understands that money should not be its master, but its tool. True success is not in what you can possess, but in what you can give without losing peace. The Bible teaches us that it is better to give than to receive, and this applies not only to generosity with others, but to the way we manage every resource. Financial prosperity expands when it is used with wisdom, when it is sown in others, and when it is managed with the purpose of glorifying God. And here arises a question we should all ask ourselves. If God gave you abundance today, how would you use it? Because what we do with little defines what we will do when we have much. ### True financial freedom. Time, geography, and purpose. Many people believe that financial freedom simply means having a lot of money, but in reality, true wealth isn't just measured in numbers. True prosperity gives you three invaluable things: time, geography, and purpose. If money doesn't allow you to have control over your time, if it keeps you tied to a place without options, or if it doesn't contribute to something greater than yourself, then you are not free, but a slave to your own income. God calls us to live in freedom, not only spiritually, but also in the way we manage our resources. Time is the most valuable asset we possess. You can lose money and recover it, but time that passes never returns. Some people have sacrificed their family, their health, and their purpose for a career that completely consumes them. What's the point of having money if you don't have time to enjoy it with those you love? Biblical wisdom teaches us that prosperity isn't about working more, but about working intelligently, delegating, investing, and creating income streams that allow you to have control over your time. Another aspect of true economic freedom is geographical freedom, the ability to move, to choose where and how to live, to travel without being limited by a fixed schedule. God designed us to be conquerors, to explore, to move forward. However, many live tied to a job that prevents them from moving or enjoying new opportunities. Building a rich mindset means finding ways to generate income that don't depend exclusively on our physical effort, but that work for us. Purpose is what gives meaning to wealth. It's not just about having options, but about knowing why we do what we do. Keanu Reeves, for example, is a millionaire actor, but what truly defines him isn't his bank account, but his generosity. He has donated millions in secret, helped strangers, and remained humble, demonstrating that well-managed wealth can be a source of blessing. The same happened with Jim Carrey, who, before becoming famous, wrote himself a $10 million check as an act of faith. Years later, he was able to cash it, but he discovered that fame and money alone did not fill the void in his soul. If money doesn't give you time to enjoy life, freedom to move, and a purpose greater than yourself, then it's not true prosperity. God calls us to live with purpose, to build wealth with vision, and to use our resources to generate impact. The question is, are you building real freedom or just accumulating money without direction? ### practical steps for building biblical wealth. Financial prosperity doesn't happen by chance. It's not a matter of luck or waiting for a miracle without taking action. God has given us clear principles in His Word on how to manage money, and when we apply them with discipline and vision, the results come. The Bible teaches us that prosperity is linked to wisdom, administration, and the right mindset. But how can we translate this into practical steps to build wealth solidly and aligned with God's principles? The first step is to have a mentor or counselor. No one achieves financial success alone. The Bible is full of examples of wise men who sought counsel before making important decisions. Today, that means surrounding yourself with people who have already achieved economic freedom, learning from their mistakes, and applying their strategies. A lack of financial knowledge is what has led many to make bad decisions, get into debt, and lose valuable opportunities. The second step is to save and invest with discipline. There are those who earn well but don't know how to manage their money. They spend more than they have and end up living in cycles of scarcity. In Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, the importance of persistence, belief, and the right mindset for achieving financial success is highlighted. The key is not only to generate income, but to make money work for you, whether through investments, businesses, or financial growth strategies. The third step is to invest in yourself. What is your greatest asset? Yourself. Financial education, personal development, and acquiring new skills are investments that always generate returns. Many seek financial prosperity but are not willing to learn how to manage money, how to generate passive income, or how to develop an abundance mindset. Biblical wisdom teaches us that knowledge is more valuable than gold because with it, lasting wealth can be built. The fourth step is self-control and financial wisdom. Not all that glitters is gold, Not every opportunity is an open door from God. In a world full of distractions and false promises of quick wealth, discipline is what makes the difference between those who prosper and those who fail. God and money are not in conflict, but there is a call to manage with integrity and vision. When you have self-control in your finances, you avoid unnecessary debts, plan with wisdom, and build real stability. God has set before us principles that guarantee prosperity, but the question is, what are you doing today to apply them? Action is what separates those who only dream of abundance from those who truly experience it. The Bible has shown us that money is not the problem, but the way we handle it and what we do with it. Now that you know this powerful verse, the key question is, what will you do with this revelation? God has put into your hands the ability to manage with wisdom, multiply with purpose, and live in abundance without losing your peace. Financial prosperity is not a matter of luck, but of applying eternal principles that have transformed the lives of those who have understood them. If this message has touched your heart and you need prayer for your financial life, leave your request in the comments. God opens doors, restores lives, and gives direction to those who seek His guidance. You are not alone in this process, and we want to pray with you so that you experience economic freedom with God's favor. Additionally, I want you to declare in faith what God will do in your life. Write in the comments, **** God is my provider and guides me in my finances. This is not just a phrase, it's an act of trust in the divine plan for you. And if this video helped you, you cannot miss the playlist Biblical Secret to Wealth: How to Make Money with God's Principles. In it, you'll discover how to apply these principles in an even deeper and more practical way. Find the link at the end of the video and don't let this opportunity pass. Before you go, subscribe to the channel, activate notifications, and share this video with someone who needs to hear this message. Let's think about who can benefit from this word and send it to them right now. May God bless you in all areas of your life.